You and me, let's talk about packing for the ultimate photography adventure today. Every photographer has heard it before, pack light. But let's take that advice one step further. When you're heading out for an overnight shoot in the backcountry, packing light isn't just about convenience, it's about survival. It's not just about your camera and lenses. You need to stay dry, warm, safe and hydrated, so you can actually focus on capturing the shot instead of just making it through the night. When I traveled through the Alps to capture my Hasselblad Masters winning series, I had to build a kit that balanced top-tier image quality with real-world endurance. And today I'm breaking down exactly what I carried, what I left behind, and how you can optimize your travel kit for extreme conditions. Let's get into it. If you're new here, my name is Albrecht Voss. I'm an architectural photographer, and this is my behind-the-scenes series about how I created my award-winning Hasselblad Masters project ENLIGHTEN in the Alps. In this series, I take you through the challenges, techniques, and lessons I learned while crafting this fine art project, using a prototype of the Hasselblad X2D before its official release. If you missed the last episode where I talked about how I created a series that won the Hasselblad Masters and how I found my own photographic style, be sure to check it out after this one. Now, let's dive into today's topic. What a nerve-wracking experience. 5 days before the start of my Hasselblad Masters photo series, everything was set. The team was booked, the locations were informed, and we were ready to go. But there was one major problem. The camera hadn't arrived yet. We had already postponed the shoot twice, from May to July and now to late August. This was the last possible chance to capture the series before the mountain weather became too unpredictable and the huts started closing for the season. My nerves were on edge. Finally, on Friday, the doorbell rang, not once, but twice. In a single day, I received 2 of the 5 worldwide prototypes of the then unreleased Hasselblad X2D. One camera came straight from Sweden and the other arrived directly from a test shoot in China. Along with them came the 3 brand new V-series lenses, the XCD 38V, the 55V and the 90V, as well as Hasselblad's ultra-wide XCD 21mm. With the Hasselblad Masters, you get the gear you need on loan to create your vision. It's like Christmas and your birthday rolled into one. At first though, I struggled with basic operations. I couldn't get the battery out of the body. After flipping the release lever, push the battery slightly towards the camera before pulling it out. Removing the lens mount cap, equally tricky. Press the lens release button. And of course, there were no instructions yet. Just me and a cutting-edge prototype. Despite these minor hiccups, the excitement was unmatched. The next 14 days would be some of the most unforgettable of my entire life. A dream assignment with the world's coolest camera, capturing a fine art series in the Alps. With the Hasselblad X2D finally in my hands, I packed the car to the roof with everything I would need for photography, mountaineering and survival in the backcountry. The next 10 hours of driving gave me plenty of time to strategize. What gear would make it into my backpack for the first tour? I knew from experience that even though capturing stunning images was the top priority, staying safe, dry and functional was just as critical. If your basic needs aren't met, even the best camera won't help you. My backpack of choice was the Lowepro PhotoSport Pro 70-liter AW3. This pack, now in its 4th generation, was ideal because it combined large carrying capacity with serious comfort. Inside was the Gear Up Pro XL camera cube, which stored the Hasselblad X2D, all 4 lenses, the 21, 38, 55 and 90V, plus a filter system and some spare batteries. Since this was my first ever shoot with a Hasselblad, I didn't know exactly which lenses I would prefer. So I brought them all, from 17mm to 71mm in full frame equivalent, I was covered. What blew me away was just how compact and lightweight the Hasselblad X system was. A decade ago, a Hasselblad H6D would have weighed over 2.1 kg, a nightmare for long hikes. The X2D, on the other hand, fit right into my backcountry setup. The rest of my photo essentials? A Gitzo Traveler Series 2 tripod, simply the best travel tripod. Check out my full review, link in the video description. And 2 Aperture MC LED lights for additional illumination, summing up in total camera gear volume around 8 liters. So what else goes into a 70-liter backpack? The remaining 62 liters of my pack were filled with the ZenBivy Light Bed sleeping system, including an ultralight mattress, kilt and pillow. Just the closest thing to a real bed you can have outdoors. 3 liters of water, crucial for hydration at high altitudes. Dinner and breakfast for an overnight stay. A rain jacket, rain pants, a down jacket and my gloves from Valorate. A headlamp for navigating in complete darkness. Trekking poles and a multi-tool. So much for ultralight travel. My fully loaded Lowepro weighed in at around 15 kg. But as we would soon find out, every single item in the pack would prove to be essential. For this shoot, I wasn't alone. My longtime friend Marcus joined me, someone I've been embarking on crazy adventure trips since we were 15 years old. He's usually the guy hiking glaciers in swim trunks, while I'm geared up with full photo equipment. Our journey led us to the picturesque town of Kaminska in Slovenia. The next day, the real challenge began. Ahead of us was one of the steepest hikes of the entire trip, a brutal 8-kilometer ascent gaining 1,500 meters in elevation into the Julian Alps. The trail started in lush green forests before transitioning into rugged rock fields. A thick fog covered the valley, giving way briefly to a clear patch of sky, only to engulf us once again as we climbed into a higher cloud layer. By midday, we finally reached Biwak pod Skuto, a tiny mountain refuge designed in 2015 by office architects. The hut had been airlifted in 3 parts by helicopter. And God, I wish we had a helicopter to get up here instead of climbing. This was the first location in my Hasselblad Masters project, something I spent a year researching and preparing for. But when we arrived, the reality was disappointing. The climb had been brutal, and once at the top, we could only see about 30 meters ahead. The stunning panoramic views of the Julian Alps completely hidden in the thick clouds. To make things worse, the hut, initially empty, started filling up quickly. First, 2 French women arrived, then a group of French men, later a Slovenian couple who, due to the lack of space, ended up sleeping on the floor. This was not what I had envisioned, but a mountain hut isn't something you can reserve. So I had to let go of the images I had built in my mind during my research. I took a deep breath, grabbed my incredible new camera, and stepped back into the cold, windy drizzle, determined to make the best of the conditions. Photographing from the valley side of the hut was nearly impossible. The terrain was just too steep. Using a drone was out of question as well. The wind, moisture and low visibility made it impossible to fly. But behind the hut, the terrain was flatter, and I noticed something interesting. The 3 peaks of the hut's roof mirrored the folds and textures of the jagged mountain ridges behind it. So I decided to play with this visual harmony. After some searching, I found a deep 10-meter wide crevice in the rocky landscape. The hut was perfectly framed in the background, so I set up my XCD 21mm lens, positioning it right at the edge of the drop. This was one of my favorite shots of this location. The layers of rock formations in the foreground gave the image depth, making it feel like a scene from another planet. The hut looked like a tiny lifeline, offering shelter from the hostile environment around it. Back inside, we warmed up with tea, sharing stories with the other hikers, just a moment of warmth and fellowship that made the experience feel less like a setback and more like a shared adventure. If you're enjoying this video, hit that like button It really helps me keep creating more content like this for you. And if you don't want to miss the next episode, where I dive into how to use bad weather in your advantage in landscape photography, make sure to subscribe now. As night fell, we stepped back into the rain. The forecast predicted the clouds might clear, so we waited outside for 2 hours under the umbrella, taking turns protecting the camera. Then, finally at 10 p.m, the clouds broke for just a few minutes. I had set Aperture MC LED lights to illuminate the hut, and in those brief moments we captured a surreal nighttime scene. Soft light on the structure, dramatic mist swirling through the air. After a long day, we collapsed into our ZenBivy sleeping bags, and I slept like a rock until our alarm went off at 5 a.m. The other hikers were still asleep, so we quietly slipped outside for a second night shot, taking advantage of the pre-dawn blue hour before the clouds rolled back in. Pro tip: if you're shooting at night, invest in a headlamp with a red light mode. It's bright enough to see what you're doing, but dim enough to preserve your night vision. Crucial when working in low light environments. Once the other hikers left, we took the opportunity to capture interior shots of the hut. I had an idea for an extra photo series, capturing the most beautiful views from mountain refuge, showcasing how these huts are embedded in the epic alpine landscapes. And this hut was the perfect place to start. I mean, of course, one series wasn't enough, right? I couldn't just take one photo project on a trip like this. As we descended in the mountain, my legs were itching. I started reflecting on what worked and what didn't. The X2D 55 V lens never left my bag and wouldn't play a big role in the coming days either. When traveling light, sticking to just 2 or 3 lenses is ideal, and the 21mm and 38V were my go-to choices. Rain gear is essential in the mountains. Weather can change instantly, and being prepared makes the difference between suffering and thriving. Bringing a warm down jacket and a dry base layer is crucial, especially at the summit where temperatures drop fast. As much as my legs hated carrying all this gear, I wouldn't have left a single piece of hiking equipment behind. This was my first real shoot with the X2D, and I was already falling in love with it. Using such a beautiful, precise and robust camera in extreme conditions was pure joy. Even after hours in the freezing rain, the X2D performed flawlessly. As soon as we got back into the car, I transferred my images to my laptop for a first look. The level of detail was insane. The textures of the rocks, the swirling mist, the crisp edges of the hut. It was all there, perfectly preserved. I could get lost in these images for hours. And the X2D passed its first real-world test with flying colors. When it comes to the ultimate travel kit, the less gear you carry, the more you'll enjoy your adventure. With fewer options, you stay focused. A comfortable backpack, versatile clothing, essential food, water and sleep gear are just as important as the camera itself. Because when you're sleep deprived, freezing or soaked through, photography becomes the last thing on your mind. Want to master fine art photography or get the most out of your Hasselblad system? Check out my photography trips and one-on-one online workshops at albrechtvoss.com. You can own a limited edition fine art print from this series, available on my website as well. And if you haven't already, make sure to sign up for my VIP Club newsletter for exclusive content, early access to new workshops, and a free monthly wallpaper download. Like this episode? There's more. In the next episode, after a brutal start, we push deeper into the Alps, facing another extreme challenge. This time, how to deal with bad weather when it threatens to ruin your entire shoot. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts on your favorite hiking essential for photo tours in the backcountry. Let's chat in the comments. Until then, have fun shooting and see you next time.